The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Newy Scruggs.
Players Lounge was 2 hours ago. Now we got Media Mash. I'm living here at the Star here on a Monday after Easter.
Cha-ching.
And I'm here for you, Clarence.
Cha-ching.
For you, Clarence. That's why I'm here.
Cha-ching.
For Clarence Hill. Of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, that's Jon Machota of The Athletic. I am Newy Scruggs. We got Chris Beam and Jazz.
They can smell fresh cash.
Right here. Yeah, fresh cash. Speaking of fresh cash, Odell Beckham Jr., 1 year, $15 million contract, could add 3 more to it for $18 million. Guys, good for him. I'm just glad he's not wearing a star. There's no drama. Brandin Cooks fits, to me, what the Cowboys needed. Vertical threat, get down the field. I'm good with it for the Cowboys here. Any regrets? Anything?
No, I don't think any regrets. I think really if you just want to pull the curtain behind the scenes, the Cowboys were never really in it. You know, it was more about talk and show. Certainly, when the season ended, I mean, Jerry told us at the combine they hadn't had any talks with him. You know, he would always say, we were at the Senior Bowl. Oh yeah, I mentioned Odell. I like Odell. Combine, yeah, I love Odell. I love him. Hey, the only person I talked to was Mama, but he always would keep the conversation going because it kept the Cowboys in the news. But talking to people behind the scenes, there was nobody in the scouting department, front office that were pushing for Odell. It was only Jerry talking in the media, and it certainly as the numbers came out, and we was asking for, and we understanding the Cowboys' salary cap and the philosophy, there was no way they were paying $15 million. He wanted 20. And for him to come out and say, well, I didn't want 20. Well, you're getting 18 or you can't get 18. Clearly, that was what the price was until all the negativity came out and it came down because you knew you weren't getting 20. The Cowboys were never in the Odell Beckham sweepstakes. It was just a bunch of talk.
You're talking about they weren't in it this offseason.
Yes.
But last year,
during
at
the
end of the season,
because
they
you
were.
thought
I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, we're talking about since the end.
Yeah.
During the season because you understand you're going to get him at a bargain because he's coming off the ACL. He hasn't played. It's only a few games left. There's only so much he could ask for, right?
Yeah.
That was the thought process. He could help us now, and then we'll see. Because Jerry talking was all about what you can do for us now.
Yeah.
But since the end of the season, since he became a free agent, they were never in it.
Right.
It was just talk.
So we'll get to Odell in a second. I just got to ask you this. So I wasn't at the Senior Bowl. What did Jerry say when you guys asked him about Brett Maher?
I can't remember, but he was basically out on Brett Maher.
Right. The reason I bring that up is because that in my time covering the team, it's the only time that I've ever heard him completely shut the door on anything.
Right, no.
Because I think of like Earl Thomas, all those times.
but
Earl Thomas is Earl Thomas. And Odell was the same way. Like Jerry doesn't want to close the book on anybody that he thinks will generate interest.
Right. Brett Maher don't generate no interest. We're talking about the Earl Thomas. You're talking about even the Zeke stuff. He's not gonna,
never wants to shut the door on
But the Odell Beckham, he kept him in the news. He kept with headlines and all that other stuff. So, yes, he's not going to shut the book on it. But just behind the scenes on how they were moving, they were all in on getting Brandin Cooks.
Yeah.
They were not. There was no contact at all. So it was just a bunch of talk, and we understand why because they were never paying that price. And I don't know how Baltimore is paying that price. $15 million is a lot. Up to $18 million certainly with incentives for a guy who's coming off 2 ACLs. Over 30. Only 3 receivers passed 30 last year had 1,000-yard seasons. So what Odell are you getting? And what are you paying for? And this is just a smokescreen to say, Lamar, we love you. We're committed to upgrading the receiving corps because no one else, like he was going to go to the Jets on Monday. They tried to get the Jets to match the offer. Jets said no. Nobody was paying what Baltimore was paying. Almost like the Deshaun Watson thing. Nobody's paying that.
Well, you get aggressive because you really want a guy. But no, I think everybody would agree you'd rather have Brandin Cooks on a deal where in this first year you're paying him $12 million guaranteed because they picked up the other $6 million. And yeah, you gave up a 5th and 6th round pick, but he's also a guy that's not coming off of an injury. And you've wanted this guy for a while. Not just Jerry saying it. It's clear that the team has wanted Brandin Cooks for a while too. And once they did Brandin Cooks, there was no chance they were doing anything with Odell Beckham.
Yeah, and the thing about it is Brandin Cooks fits what you want. I mean,
Bingo. That's the thing.
you know, the style you've been wanting a guy to take the top off the defense. You've been wanting a speed guy. Odell is more of a CeeDee Lamb type. You already have that type of guy. Okay, so Odell doesn't fit. The fit to what you're wanting, trying to do on offense for what you have, with your other parts, it didn't make any sense. It was only a name to talk about. Brandin Cooks fits what you want.
No, I agree. My thing is that I still, and I'm sure you see this, you still see people talk about DeAndre Hopkins. What about them for DeAndre Hopkins? What about them for DeAndre Hopkins? I don't see that being something like after. I know that. It's one of those things where you get Brandin Cooks, you get Stephon Gilmore, people are happy, but then it's always like on to the next thing. Like, well, we want more. That's the next thing. I don't see them doing anything significant on this roster outside of what they do in the draft from here going forward.
And let's put a pin in that though. You know, if they don't get the receiver they want in the draft, or they don't get a receiver in the draft, and Brandon and Hopkins gets cut.
We can't. We look
right. And he comes in on the cheap.
Let's stay off other teams' players.
Oh well,
I know. I was going to do that too.
I didn't bring him up.
He was giving me the look.
I didn't bring him up.
So to me, when you look at what's going on now, I think you're going down the right road. You've got a veteran who's basically on a 1-year deal. So with Cooks on a 1-year deal, this now puts you in a position that maybe if you want to use a pick on Thursday or Friday to address receiver. Or hopefully Jalen Tolbert starts to show you something in this offseason. But I do think this puts him in a really good position. Okay, first round, we got a lot of options of where we could go. Because if you do take a receiver in the first round, you're not asking that particular player that you've got to come in here and immediately do something.
But if you take him in the first round, you need him to immediately do something. I mean, it's just a waste.
Well, I just say immediately, like, okay, boom, day one, you starting right here.
No, you don't have to start, but you need an impact player. You need a player that's going to be here. And, you know, we won't know about October till May. So you got to make the decision on wide receiver, you know, well before that.
So Jim Nagy that runs the Senior Bowl,
yes.
he tweeted this 5 hours ago. I thought this was interesting. He goes, one thing has become clear on calls around the league past couple weeks. NFL isn't nearly as high in this year's wide receiver class as media is. Frequently seeing 4 or 5 wideouts in mocks, have spoken to numerous teams that have only one first-round grade at the position, and that guy is JSN, which is Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. So I think that is interesting because you do see a lot of mocks that do have multiple receivers.
And what the problem with that is this. Like Stephen Jones says, there's only 20 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that can be true, but when you're picking 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, you're not getting a first-round pick. They're a first-round pick in name only, but they're not a first-round pick on my board. So, I mean, that's kind of, you know, playing fast to lose with the truth. You know, we talk about, you know, guys, Stephen Jones tells us there's only 20 first-round picks in the draft. So, well, guys are going to be picked 21, 22, 23 to 32. They're going to be quote-unquote first-round picks, but they're not first-round picks on our board. So that doesn't mean receivers won't be taken in the first round. They're just not on their draft board.
Yeah, if there's a receiver there that the Cowboys really like, that is their number 2 receiver on their draft board behind, let's say, Jackson Smith-Njigba, I could see them taking him at 26.
And again, it just – the fact, you know, I did a mock draft for the Star Telegram, and I picked Quentin Johnson in my first mock draft last week, you know, just because how the things fell. But, I mean, the Cowboys visited with Johnson. They visited with Hyatt. They visited with the kid, Zay Flowers. They brought him in.
Yeah.
Those are guys who are considered in that realm for a reason.
The Flowers one out of all their 30 visits so far, the Flowers one is the one that probably surprised me the most.
Yeah.
Just because of the size. It doesn't really fit with what they would do.
But he's
really.
the first-round guy.
Right, sure.
But he's in that area. What I'm saying, they brought them in for up-close visits for a reason. That is doing your homework on receivers who would be around that pick for a reason.
And maybe I go back to Travis Frederick. When they made that move, traded down from on their pick, passed on Sharif Floyd, and they ended up taking Travis Frederick, who most people, it was not a first-round pick. Even he was surprised, but it ended up working out for them. So maybe that's when you talk about not having first-round picks at 26, that you say, okay, who fits something for us, and we can get this player and get a 5-year contract for the player. And they were absolutely right on Travis Frederick, and I was absolutely wrong because that day I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, they were, and we could revisit that. They were right. The process was wrong, which is why they had to shuffle in the scouting department, because you don't pass on a guy that's in the top 5 of your board.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, that's why Will McClay got moved up. They ended up being right, but the process was wrong, and that was the controversy on that day.
Yeah, because they got, with the other pick they got from that, they drafted Terrence Williams. So you get Terrence Williams and Travis Frederick instead of Sharif Floyd. So yeah, it looks great there, but you're right. I remember that Floyd was high on their board and they passed on him because because
Rod, we don't take defensive time, all of that stuff. But if you're about being true to your board, and that's what they are, and you got a pick there who's that high on your board, there you don't pass on them. But they ended up being right. Good job.
I like Floyd. I said, I come on,
and he's here.
I was wrong. Yes, he is. I was absolutely. There were basically two times I really kind of looked at what they did in the first round. Like, what are you doing? Passing on Floyd, and the other one was passing on Steven Jackson when they traded down, because Parcells said that Carthon told him that the guys, Julius Jones. The kid from was it Tatum from Oklahoma State? He's like, they're all the same. Like, no, they ain't all the same. Jackson's better. They were, well, we got knee issues with that, but like Steven Jackson's the guy, but they passed on Steven Jackson. So
hypothetically speaking, these two players are right next to each other on their draft board, and they're going to pick one of them, and it's either the number 2 tight end on their draft board or the number 2 wide receiver. Which one you taking?
Who was the player though?
It doesn't matter. They like them as the number 2, so you don't even know who the player is. They're just saying, what do we need more, the wide receiver or the tight end? And I think it's tough because you've seen so many tight ends not have success out of the first round, and then you look at this team, you're like, tight end's a bigger need than wide receiver.
I would go wide receiver.
What if there's a guard there or defensive?
No, I'm going on the scenario that they're only going with us.
So I'm messing with you. From what John gave me, I would go wide receiver.
I think I would go wide receiver too.
And because
I think that they can find a solid tight ends in the third or fourth round.
But
they have unlocked that.
But late first round wide receivers don't hit either, unless they're Justin Jefferson.
You mean like late first round?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like the late first round wide receiver as opposed to the third and fourth round wide receiver.
You're taking a shot at Jalen Tope.
I didn't say that.
Yes, he is.
There's been plenty of good third round wide receiver. Michael Gallup is a third rounder. Terrence Williams is a third rounder.
You can find one of those
Terrence
guys.
Williams good.
I thought he was. I mean, especially for what he did immediately.
The kid, he was all right. Yeah, and especially what you had on the receiving court, because he wasn't asked to be.
He was okay.
Yeah, he's in Mexico now playing Mexican football.
Good for him.
He's in Mexican football.
For a third round pick, I think Terrence Williams is pretty solid third round pick.
No, DeMarco Murray.
No, it's true.
Got a lot more.
Antonio Brown was third round, wasn't he?
Second.
Might have been
Second
fifth.
round?
Second.
No, Antonio Brown might have been fifth. I'm telling you.
Was second round?
I'm telling you.
Out of Central Michigan?
I got this.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Antonio Bryant.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Antonio Brown was a fifth rounder.
Okay,
I'm thinking of 88.
Six.
Okay,
Pick 195.
No, I'm thinking of Antonio. I'm thinking of Antonio Bryant out of Pitt. Who came here,
Yeah.
through the jersey and Parcells Space.
Yeah, that's my boy. He still lives in Dallas, quiet as a kept.
Does he?
Yeah.
Where's the Star Telegram expose?
He don't want to talk. I've been working him. I'm trying to get my, hidden stories on the jersey throw. I'm working on it.
It does seem like something you would work on for sure.
I mean,
it's a good
story. Untold story. Like, when Master was doing Untold, it's a great untold story.
It is a good story. I mean, and then Keyshawn going up and talk to him. I mean, don't throw your career away. I mean, that's yes. I want to know that. I want to know that.
But he lives in Dallas, and he's been here for a few years now.
Okay. Let's take a break.
He owns a few strip clubs.
And I'm sure you would know that. Is that where you going to do the interview from?
No, I don't do those things.
The champagne, the Clarence Hill champagne.
Parcells banned us from strip club. I mean, banned the team from strip club back in the day.
Yes, Clarence
Keith Davis.
Clarence getting all the info from.
Keith Davis. Mo Carthon. We can't go no more.
The Clarence Hill champagne. Okay. When we come back.
True story.
He just
Oh, we know.
he just goes there for the food.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So this ain't that place. This ain't Arlington ain't known for the food, bro.
I used to meet some fan guys, and when they used to have a crawfish boil at one of them, 105 through the fan guys, goes to the crawfish boil.
I remember that. Yeah.
Media Mash right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf. For winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Back to Media Mash.
Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star-Telegram, Jon Machota of The Athletic. I'm Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash. I spoke on this topic in the Players' Night, so I want to run this by you guys. Inside linebacker. Concern? An area that they need to possibly look at for the draft? Yes, you have Leighton Vander Esch coming back, but Anthony Barr most likely will not be back. Thoughts?
I've devalued the position, so I'm a bad person to ask. I'm fine with rolling with what they've done in the past. Like, I understand they spent a first-round pick on Leighton Vander Esch, but I'll tell you what. I like the way that the old Kansas City Chiefs seem to run things, and they seem to be doing just fine when they go out and they get – like they went out and got Anthony Hitchens, Damian Wilson, guys from the Cowboys who 4th-round picks. Unless you have pass rush, I'm not interested in spending high picks on.
Okay, so let me make sure. I'm not talking about a first round. I'm not talking about the first round.
Okay.
Well, they need depth at the position.
Yeah, for sure.
The problem here is that Jabril Cox has not been who we thought he was going to be. You can blame injury, blame whatever else, but Jabril Cox has not popped. And so, yes, you like the rookie from last year, and you like Leighton Vander Esch, clearly what you're going to do with Mike at times, but you need more bodies there. Whether it's a guy that free agency, not free agency, for special teams, depth, all of that, you're going to miss Anthony Barr. You're going to need bodies there. So, yes, you need to fill some holes there in the mid-rounds of that draft and maybe go back and look at Barr again after the draft if he wants to come back.
Yeah, like I just saw that on that graphic there, they were talking about Ezekiel Elliott still, obviously hasn't signed with the team. There's going to be plenty of guys that are still going to be available, veteran-type guys. But in terms of the draft anywhere, I definitely think they need to take one, at least in the later rounds, just because of the fact of, for nothing else, even if you get Jabril Cox having a bounce-back big season, Damone Clark plays well, Leighton Vander Esch plays well, you still need someone to replace Luke Gifford. He's had the most special team snaps each of the last 2 years. You need somebody there. Now, Luke Gifford was undrafted, so maybe they do add some undrafted guys. But, no, there's value at inside linebacker, but using like a first or second round pick on the position, like I've seen in some mock drafts, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'd rather spend it at a more premium position.
Now,
then they got Devin Harper, a guy they like
he can
as
play
well.
special teams.
Yeah,
and let me kind of dive into this further, like I did in the earlier show. Second round kid like us, the Stewart kid from Arkansas. If Dan Quinn says, "Hey, I'm not saying he's Bobby, but he has a couple traits."
I'm in.
The kid from Arkansas, Stewart.
Is it Stewart?
Sanders.
I'm gonna say that's not who I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Sanders.
Sanders. Now I've seen him in the first round because, again, I've seen him populate in the first round because people want linebackers. They think he's that type of guy because, again, he's a second round pick, but 25 to 32, he could be gold.
I shouldn't say this because it got them in trouble with their previous defensive coordinator. Just listening to what he said, but man, the way Dan Quinn has moved pieces around and been able to be multiple in his system. If he thinks that guy is a guy for his system, I don't think you're going to have to do much more to sell him. Now, of course, I can't have my scouts tell me, hey, hold on, this guy is like a fourth round pick. We shouldn't be taking him in the second. But if it's like between that player and somebody else, and Dan's like, hey, man, I'm telling you, this guy right here, whatever, I'm in.
And that's what I'm talking about with the Sanders kid from Arkansas.
Yeah.
If he comes in there and says that, are you okay with that?
If he's really selling it, I would probably be okay with it.
But certainly in the second round, I don't know about late in the first round, but again, that's where he's going.
Yeah.
He's going second round, maybe late in the first round.
Well, let me even throw this one out here now, since we're just pontificating. If somebody's sitting here and says, hey, we want 26, and you jump back in the second, and you can pick up some picks, would you do it?
Yeah. No. Go ahead. You go first.
Again, you jump back in the second. Is it a high second round pick?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah. I mean, I it depends on what's there. If B. John's flying and falling to me, I'm taking him. But if all those guys are about the same, Stephen Avila, the guard from TCU, he may be available late first round, early second round. Some guys that plug and play guys that And again, we're talking about the board, and we're talking about the quality of picks that are going to be there on the board when you pick. Because again, there are only 20 quote unquote first round picks.
What else are you getting with that though? A third? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think it would be a second.
Yeah.
You may be sitting at a 2 and a 5. Let's say it's a high, a team picking high.
Yeah.
And in the second, they want to move up to get something.
Right.
So if you're sitting around here, you're getting yourself a high 2-5, 2-4. That's what I'm thinking there from that end. You're the Cowboys. You're able to save a little bit of money, but at the same time, hey, we've got a bunch of these guys we like that we could get here. So now I'm sitting up here with 2 first-round picks, saving a little bit of money, and you're going to add another 4, whatever.
I like having that fifth year. I'm not saying don't trade back. I'm real hesitant about trading out of the first round. I want to use the first round pick, and I know that this shouldn't factor in. But the years when the Cowboys don't have a first round pick, those drafts aren't great.
So then I come back into this. Then I'll go back in just based off the conversation.
Why are you talking about Tristan Hill?
So now you are.
What about that one year when they were just like, we're going to get all of our backups with Jason Williams and stuff?
The special teams draft.
Yeah, I remember.
Was that 9?
I remember that Uncle Wade time. So then you're comfortable taking a non-first round pick at 26.
Yeah, because I do think with the way all these teams' boards are stacked, that if you drop back into the second round, you're dropping back a good 7-8 picks. Yeah, am I overdrafting this guy at 26 by a little bit? Yeah, probably. But every pick that goes by after that, you're just getting a lesser player. I mean, I do like, really, to be honest with you, the scenario that like he mentioned is the one I like. And I know it's a first-round pick, and I know some people might not like him at first. But if they did similar to the Travis Frederick thing, and they traded back and got the Steve Avila kid, I wouldn't hate that at all. But I want that fifth year with him. I'm saying like the last pick in the first round. I would be fine with that at guard. I know that the fans wouldn't love it, because it's a guard. Like, what are we doing?
I'm not worried about the fans.
I would be interested in that because I don't think like a kid like that. I don't think you got any chance of him falling you in the second. So.
The good news is that I've been around here a long time. We've been around here a long time.
We know.
There was a time when Jerry, I got to have a wild player.
Yeah.
A wild player, I always got, Des Brown. I need somebody that's going to excite the fans, going to pop in the offense.
Yeah, Jalen Carter. Sorry.
I'm just, but what I'm saying is this team has done a good job of picking linemen in the first round. not quote unquote wild players, but they're linemen.
Right.
And so even last year, I don't think last year was a wild player. I don't think people were jumping up and down with Tyler Smith on draft day.
They weren't.
Oh, I think him ending on that, at least since I've been around, was 2014. When he went Zach Martin instead of Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
That was a big move in that direction.
So I forget, I don't know if this team needs a wild player. I don't know if they need, obviously if you get a Bijan, that's great. If he falls, it's great. But a Stephen Avila, a defensive tackle, something like that is going to come in and play and be a core foundational player for you, nothing wrong with that.
If it's up to me, I'm going D-line. That's just me.
All right, listen.
What about the flip side of it? Is there anything that you'd be willing to go up for?
Bijan.
How far would you be willing to go?
But how far, right?
Yeah.
20 to 20?
Yeah.
Look, I am, gosh, I hate to think I'm just agreeing with you, dog, just to be agreeing with you. But talking to Gary Patterson, I trust Gary.
Yeah.
To be a defensive guy who's watching the offense and you're helping. When he tells me, yeah, closest thing I've seen to LT.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do we know about LT? He could run. He could catch. He could block. I mean, he was the complete package. And so to me.
And you got to spend a top 10 pick to get LT.
Right. Yeah, that's
they
what
wouldn't be moving into 10 to get Bijan.
Right.
They probably moved to like 20 maybe.
Right. But I'm just saying my whole premise is here's a weapon.
Yeah. And
all this talk about running backs, weapons are different. I think Micah Parsons showed fans a couple years ago. I remember all the time listening to the people on certain radio stations. Oh, you can't take a linebacker. You can't take a linebacker. And you know what? Well, I didn't say that. I mean, if you got a weapon, you're like, yeah, okay. Well,
he's a weapon.
Bijan Robinson is a weapon. And if you got a weapon like that who can run, pass, catch, and then I hear and Gary did nothing but rave about him as a person.
Oh, he's a great person.
Then you know what? Then go get that in your room.
The character is off the charts. And the thing about it is that, I hate people try, well, you only like Bijan because he's long. No, that's not true. Bijan is special. And as most we get closer to the draft, you see everything on Twitter. Everybody, all these draft talk about this dude. I just saw something today. Some people say he's a gold jacket type player. I mean, everybody's raving about the talent, the potential, what type of player he is on the field. And that's not even considering what he's off the field. Just his talent. How do you pass on something like that?
So to get up and get him. From where they're at now at 26, to get up to around 19 or 20, you'd have to give up your third-round pick.
Oh, I did it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Third-round pick?
Third round, 90.
Can I just give him Jalen Tolbert?
Yeah, maybe they want that. I mean, if they want that,
so
yeah,
we can't talk about players on other teams. We can talk about players on the Cowboys.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. That's what the department memo.
He's going to prove you wrong this year.
I hope he does.
He's been hanging out at Dak's house. He's been in some of the videos with Dak thrown at his house.
He should be living at Dak's.
The funny thing about James Washington wasn't at Dak's house last year when he got signed. He didn't take the trip to Florida.
I really feel like all of last year he was never healthy. Remember, like the very first day of whatever OTAs or minicamp, he had a boot on.
You got what you paid for.
Yeah.
Truly, you got what you paid for.
Simi was there though.
Simi, yeah.
I hope Jalen. Wherever Dak is, Jalen Tolbert needs to be there. I mean, that's just he needs to be.
I need Brandin Cooks there right now.
Yeah,
every day with him. Get the time around those deep balls. Make things happen.
I know that we're talking about what the team would do, but can you just imagine how fired up the fans would be? As much as anybody will sit there and say right now, man, I don't know about giving up that third-round pick. If that thing came across the bottom, there's been a trade, and the Cowboys traded up to 20, and Bijan's still out there. You're telling me that fans would be booing that pick?
No, but the clicks, the Twitter would just go crazy.
Right.
That would go viral.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Texas kid.
From 15, if he gets to 15, from 15 to wherever he goes after that, that's all they're going to be talking about. It's like, man, the Cowboys, if he falls to the Cowboys. And honestly, you can say the same thing about Jalen Carter. If he starts falling like that too, people will be talking about the Cowboys too.
And what is going on with Jalen Carter? Why is he falling like that?
Let's take a break and chat about Jalen Carter and is if you're the Cowboys. Do you keep a watch on it, and maybe do you decide to give up your third rounder to take Jalen Carter? We'll do that next with Jon Machota of The Athletic. He is Clarence of the Footwear Star Telegram and Newy Scruggs' Media Mash right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to Media Mash.
Here we are, Media Mash, with Jon Machota of The Athletic. He is Clarence Hill, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and Newy Scruggs. So, Jalen Carter, according to a couple reports, has been taken off draft boards. Coming into the process after the national championship game, thought process was Jalen Carter, Georgia defensive lineman, going to be the number one pick. Then things started happening. And he's dropping. I won't go into everything here, but he's clearly dropping, and I don't expect him to be the number one pick. And if it happens that he starts to have one of these Warren Sapp-like falls, remember years ago when Warren Sapp was expected to be the number one pick, fell all the way down. I want to say it might have been 11 or 12, where he finally got taken by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It might have been at 12. Remember Belichick passing on him. Right. Mike Lombardi wouldn't let him take him. They took some. Anyway, they messed that one up. But if Jalen Carter starts falling, do the Cowboys perk up and say, hey, we do need D-line help?
100%, especially because Jerry Jones is involved. Absolutely, it would be tough for him to pass on now. Could be like the Zach Martin.
So you're not going to 26. I'm not anticipating to fall to 26. I mean, you had to move up.
So I don't think they'll trade up for him.
Yeah,
I think that they would sit and let him fall to them,
Yep.
and then they can justify the pick.
So you think
with the off the field stuff.
You think a guy like that will fall all the way to 26?
I don't think he'll fall, but for the Cowboys to take him, I don't think they will invest and trade up for him. Jerry likes to take risk on bargains.
Yeah, round two. That's where he makes his.
But if he falls to them, they don't have to give up nothing. Right. Then they say we couldn't pass him because of talent.
Right.
But to sit up here and give up capital for him and move up, I don't think they'll, especially with the risk factor.
Yeah. See, I just don't think that there's 25 teams.
No.
I don't think there's 25 shots of him being.
What about the other line rusher there from Georgia who's all over the board?
No, Nolan Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen him in the 20s.
There's a little bit of the Micah thing where people look at him as his size, as can he hold up long term in the NFL, because he's a little bit smaller size for a guy that they're going to want some pass rush from. You know,
right? He's athletic. I've seen him in the top 10. I've seen him late in the 20s.
Because I remember you were over by his locker when we were talking to Mike at the end of the year about adding weight and stuff like that.
Right.
And he was talking about, getting in the weight room, maybe adding some weight. The problem that you get with guys like that is you want them to put on some weight so they're more durable, but you also don't want them to lose any of that speed, because that's what makes them so special. And that's the thing. That's the stuff I've read about Nolan Smith. That's like, all right, he's gonna have to gain a little bit of weight, but we also don't want him, because he is a guy that can drop into coverage. He can do everything.
Right, but that's why you have these expert trainers that can add lean muscle on you without losing your agility and your speed. And if Micah goes from a 4.3 to a 4.4, but he adds 10 pounds, I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
As a defensive end, as a pass rusher, and we talked about it. We talked about it here. If he's going to play defensive end, he's going to have to add weight. He's going to have to add muscle. And those are car wrecks, and it's not the same.
And you're going to need to get a linebacker. You're going to get an inside linebacker. If you're going to start to really, really keep going down this road, I don't see an Anthony Barr coming back. Obviously, you missed your shot.
To me, as he gets older, he's going to be more end than linebacker anyway, because you don't have to. As you get older in your career, what do you do best? What's your specialty? Let me put you there. 5, 6, 7 years in his career, you don't want him running sideline to sideline as linebacker. You want him getting to the quarterback.
And I'm fine on the inside linebacker. I just don't want to use a first-round pick on the position. I don't need. Yes, would I like to get Bobby Wagner in the second round? Of course I would, but I don't need to spend a first-round pick to get that player. I got too many other pieces on defense that as long as I got a solid guy there I can count on.
It's funny to me because we got as we get to the draft and everybody's a draft Nick and the expert and everybody's a cottage industry. Everybody knows the draft. You can't take a running back in the first round. You can't take a tight end in the first round. You can't take off the ball linebacker in the first round. You can't take a safety high in the first round.
Right.
You really shouldn't be taking a guard top 15 in the first round because they're not one of the premium positions.
I agree with all of that, to be honest with you. I know it's stereotypical, but I agree with all of that.
And if Dan Quinn comes in here and says, this is what I want, I think I need it, then we're all in agreement, right?
And I didn't bother, you can't take a nose tackle.
Yeah.
If he's not a pass rusher guy, you can't take a nose tackle.
Bill Belichick did okay with Vince Wilfork.
He did okay, but that's just an outlier. You don't really take nose tackles, run stuffers in the first 15, 20 picks.
You mentioned Tristan Hill earlier. Let's be honest. If it wasn't D tackle, you just had safety there. It's not act like those safeties that got taken instead just wrecking the league.
One Thornhill turned out to be a good player.
He's okay, but I posted this. It's funny because we kicked their butt over Tristan Hill and Juan Thornhill. And they got my boy from A&M, my mind is gone blank. Donovan Wilson. Okay. Who's a better player right now?
Yeah, Donovan Wilson for sure.
Donovan Wilson or Juan Thornhill. They got pretty much the same contract, I think, because Thornhill went from Kansas City. But Donovan Wilson, to me, is the better player.
Well, when I look at what Thornhill did for Kansas City.
Wait, he missed that first year, didn't he? Or the second year? He was injured?
Got 2 rings on his finger.
Well, that's because of Patrick Mahomes, not because of Juan Thornhill.
Hey, man, I'm just saying.
That's because
he's still in the
I think it's because of Thornhill.
That's because of Patrick Mahomes. Come on, man.
What did Tristan Hill do with his opportunity? What Tristan do? What did Juan do?
They needed Thornhill to put him over the top.
That's right.
There's a whole list of guys I'm going to credit for those rings before I get to Juan Thornhill. I don't even Thornhill played on that first Super Bowl team. I think he was hurt that first year.
I think Justin Timberlake and Juan Thornhill.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
that's exactly.
Bringing the safety back.
Come on,
bringing
man.
safety sexy back. So that's what they doing, man. That's what we doing. So.
And I don't think that it should be this blanketed. You never do that. I mean, there are the Earl Thomases that
but Earl Thomas went high, but he was special.
Exactly. You do it for
but since Earl Thomas, I don't think what the kid in Pittsburgh now, Miami got rid of him.
Oh, Fitzpatrick.
But I mean, tell me a safety. Your boys and with the Chargers.
He's a good player.
Derwin James?
Yeah, he's a good player, but he ain't been what we thought he was going to be.
No, he's been really good. He's just been hurt. Yeah.
Okay, all of that. But
he is
Jamal
a good
Adams.
player.
Huh?
Jamal
Adams ain't, is Seattle happy with that contract?
Or the picks they had to give up. No. Hey, look, so this is the beauty.
We can nitpick. What I'm saying, we can nitpick. That's what kills me about people just so crazy about running back. And you can nitpick a number of positions. But when it's a special play, we definitely can nitpick quarterback. High in the first round.
Well, if Bijan Robinson was in this draft, I would completely agree. There's not anybody on the running back class that you should really be using a first-round pick on.
But there are outliers. There are people that say, let's go against this. No, let's go against this. This dude is special.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, look, I'm this is why we had the conversation. If we come to the draft, are you
going to rip them if they trade up for Jalen Carter?
No, he wants them to.
Actually, no, I don't.
Oh, I thought you.
I would be running from Jalen Carter personally.
Yeah.
I would.
Especially if he's making it to 18, 19. He's obviously got to be.
Because he's running from the cop? I'm serious.
So one of the things, and you guys know this, being here, there's certain dudes, if you got stuff going on, this ain't the town and this is not the team for you to be on.
I've heard people say that about some guys on the Cowboys who have thrived in the Cowboys, though.
I go back to Randy,
including some people that are on this team right now.
I go back to Randy Moss all the time, and I do think that Randy Moss got to go to the perfect situation where here's a head coach in Denny Green, here's Chris Carter and Jake Reed, and the way they were able that whole system that they had over there that helped. That I don't think him coming here would have been good. I mean, shoot, remember when Zeke's dad went to that ESPN article talking about I was worried about my son and being out here. I mean, things can happen.
But what's the last team that had the most guys like that you can think of on the Cowboys? Because when I think of that, I think of those teams also getting Lombardi trophies. So
who's the coach?
It don't matter. He didn't police him. I mean, you act like he stopped him from going out and getting in trouble. He had the most talent. That was before free agency. They couldn't move. There's a lot of factors. A lot of coach.
So you want Carter?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I wouldn't trade up for him.
I need a yes, no. Carter, yes, no.
I mean, I want a lot of players. I mean, yes, of course.
Okay,
if he's there.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, I'm not trading up.
But yeah, at 26, yeah. And Bijan off the board.
I just think, yeah. Oh, well, obviously. Can you just imagine if the draft fell like that?
Carter and Bijan.
They're both sitting there. Then, yeah, obviously, I'd rather have Bijan. But
this choir boy.
I keep going back with the Jalen Carter thing. Is just, again, stereotypes like you mentioned, but that position is just so valuable. To get a game record in the middle like that, those guys usually are gone in the top 10.
And I've said this many times. This is Clarence Hill's rules of football. You can't be a great defense without a horse in the middle. You need a bad A in the middle somewhere. Sometime. The Cowboys have not had that guy in the middle of the defense line in a long time. So that would certainly put this to go with what you have on top, on the edges, to have a guy to push the middle and be a wrecking ball in the middle. That's over.
Hey, look, man. Bottom line,
they want to win with. They want to win with defense. Mike McCarthy talked about winning with defense, leaving on the strong defense. How do you make this defense better? Get a horse in the middle.
If Jalen Carter falls to 26, I'll take you both to lunch.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Listen, we're not saying he's falling to 26. We're saying the Cowboys should pick him if he does. Yeah. We're not saying he's falling to 26. We're not, on that heel.
Okay, what about this scenario? What if the Cowboys did poorly last year and were picking 12th this year? And Jalen Carter was there. Would you take him at 12? You're coming off a bad season. You have the 12th pick. You didn't think he'd fall that far.
Yeah, right now I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
From just the things that I'm reading, I'm uncomfortable. Now, this is where, obviously, Dan Quinn, Will McClay, Mr. Wansley, there needs to be some research done.
Yeah.
But right now, what I'm hearing, I'm not comfortable. Because if it's one thing we know, talent's one thing. But if you can't get the other stuff off the field, it can be a problem.
The reports of him being completely removed from draft boards are the ones that really surprise me. I can't believe that you would ever completely remove a player off your draft board.
I could see that. I mean, we saw Randy Moss. I mean, so we know it happens.
Yeah,
there are teams that do that. I mean, Bill Polian has openly talked on when he's done his radio show about, hey, there have been players I've taken off. So I get it. I get it because everybody's got things that they say we will and will not do. I mean, shoot, remember a couple of years ago when the Patriots drafted one dude, Christian whatever name from Nebraska, and then all of a sudden Kraft's wife was like, no, he got cut. So it was Christian Peters, I think might have been his name. But anyway, it was so. They're going
right. And
Lawrence Phillips, Dick Vermeil said, we won't be drafting Lawrence Phillips.
Right. And but just like in the
No, he said they wouldn't be drafting Randy Moss. They didn't draft then he drafted Lawrence Phillips.
Just like in the Randy Moss case, though, I mean, Chan Gailey didn't want him here. It was a huge mistake by the Cowboys not getting Randy Moss because of off-the-field stuff, rumors about what you are, so...
And that's why I said there needs to be right now. I said there would need to be conversations of Dan Quinn, Will McClay, Mr. Watson. They would need to do their research. I said right now what I'm hearing, 26, or as you said, hey, if you're sitting there at 12, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we're just talking about if he falls. I just don't think you can pass on the talent.
Yeah.
If you don't trade up for him, but again, what you're getting talent-wise at 26. In the 5-year, and you can control the situation, yes. But I'm not giving up capital, giving up draft picks, moving up to get him.
And off the top of my head, I can't think of the last time we spoke of a player who was being mentioned as the top overall pick that fell down to 26. 26. No. We've seen a 24 drop, but 26. That's pretty steep. That's pretty unlikely that we've ever seen. When we're talking about top overall.
Yeah.
I mean, the last guy I can think of that is Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And then even then, that also becomes a quarterback thing where you got teams, like the Cowboys can take a quarterback.
Everybody can use a game-wrecking defensive tackle. Everybody, even if you already have one.
I mean, unlike quarterback, you can do that.
You know your man Mike Brown not gonna pass on it either. As much as they talk about Jerry being a second chance guy, and Mike Brown may have more because that's after you leave Jerry. Guys like Pac-Man Jones went up to Mike Brown and the Bengals. So
I honestly can't see him get past Seattle.
Very much so.
I really can't.
Yes, Pete
maybe.
Care. Yeah. So there you go. Gentlemen, we'll do it again next week. Chris Bean, we're going to do it again next week. Meaty Mash, again next week. We'll do it all through the rest of the month. So we'll do it all the rest of the month. There we go. For Clarence Hill, the 4-star Telegram, Jon Machota, the Athletic, I'm Newy Scruggs. This has been the Meaty Mash on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!